Hang on, we're not live yet. Afternoon, everyone. It's I think the 16th of March. How time flies. Let's talk about media lies. We're going to talk about Ukraine and what happens here in Canada with the media. Now, I am blessed to know a producer with the CBC, and even she's leaving her job. But before I get there, let's talk about the trucker protest. Those fucking evil white supremacist fucking truckers driving their fucking trucks around and being all white. Even though the videos I seen, they were, we had some turban-clad fellows, some Sikhs, which are fantastic folks. If you ever meet Sikhs, wonderful folks. We had Lebanese truckers, black truckers, or truckers of African descent, I guess we can call them. Don't want to offend anybody. Those filthy fucking white truckers. Fuck, white truckers. Those are the worst sort. Who else did we have? Basically, when I watched that trucker protest, I seen bouncy castles and wood-fired pizza ovens feeding the homeless. They even fed the police. I know what you're thinking. White fucking supremacists. But in the media, many news agencies picked up on one guy with a swastika flag who fled into the Chateau Laurier Hotel, which is a $400 a night hotel. Honestly, white supremacists are poor. But the media, because that one flag was there, labeled everybody as white supremacist. Everybody. Now they're slowly walking things back. A guy named Lorne Gunther with the Toronto Sun did a thing yesterday where the media agencies are now walking back their narrative. The Minister of Public Safety, I believe it's the Minister of Public Safety, said there's even threats of rape. But he never told anyone about it, because why would you tell people there's a threat of rape? It's like there's a threat of terrorism. Usually, do you guys remember when we had status orange and yellow when it comes to terrorism? Remember that? You think they should have something like that when there's 10,000 rapists. I'm not saying the truckers are rapists. I'm just saying what the Minister of Public Safety said. Do you see the lies? How they're stepping everything back now? Anyone notice this? I posted a link in the description of this video. It's not for children. It's by a guy named Patrick Lancaster, who is a American living in Ukraine with a Ukrainian family. He has a wife and 2 kids. Yesterday, he lives in the Donbass region. There was a missile strike and basically the city center, killing approximately 25 people. In the video posted in the link down below, there's at least 10 bodies, civilians. There's no military targets in the area. I've also watched videos of Russian forces shelling Ukrainian apartment buildings. But I've also watched videos of Ukrainian artillery spotters hiding in these buildings in their uniform, in their combat garb with radios, radioing in artillery strikes on Russian forces. And then people can't figure out why apartment buildings are being hit by rocket fire and missile fire. From the video I seen yesterday of the Ukrainian missile attack in Donbass, there was no military targets there. None. I didn't see any in the video. So you're only seeing one side of the media perspective, especially here in Canada. There's a guy I follow online, Salty Cracker, the Salty Cracker. I believe he used to be a school teacher and then seen the light. But he posted a video from a Brazilian who went to go volunteer in Ukraine to fight. And in the video, the Brazilian guy tells, his experience. And he said when he got there was Canadians, British, Americans. He even said there was 3 people that retired from MI6. If you know what MI6 is, you'll know that there's some strange fuckery going on. And he said when the missile strike happened, he said they were all wiped out. Now, Ukraine saying only 30 dead. Now, this Brazilian guy said most people were dead of his battalion. Battalion is about 500 people in Canada. If not everyone's on mills or called in tired or stubbed their toe or whatever. Very rarely does a unit have all of its people. And he said, the guy's heading for Kiev. I'm going to pronounce it like it's spelled, Kiev. He said the volunteer battalion, the guys are only going into combat with 8 or 9 rounds in their magazines because that's all they had. No body armor, no training. They're cannon fodder for the Russians because it looks really good on the news when you start hearing about dead Canadian volunteers and dead British volunteers and dead American volunteers. It really tugs at the old heartstrings because most people have no idea where Ukraine even is on a map. But you do know where you live. You do know Canadians. You do know British. You do know Americans. And the Brazilian guy goes on to talk about how people who survived that attack, soldiers, volunteers, were trying to flee Ukraine. And if you get caught at the border, the Ukrainian border police would rip up your passport and then point in the other direction. He was also told if he deserts, he's going to be shot in the back. Now, I should find that link and post it here somewhere, but I'm too stupid to do that But saltycracker.com, he's on YouTube, he's on Rumble, he's on Odyssey, he's everywhere. Look for the video. It's eye-opening, to say the least. One of my videos that got taken down recently, I was talking about a gentleman from Reddit. Don't get information from Reddit, kids, because you're going to end up dead in Ukraine. Don't do it. Not worth it. There's a whole subforum in Reddit about volunteering to go fight in Ukraine. Well, this young gentleman went, and he posted hero photos of him in his pink hoodie, wearing body armor, and he's posting them to Facebook. Now, I don't know if you know what ISR is, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance. Anyway, they were able to find out, the Russians were able to find out where this young gentleman was. And him and 41 other volunteers were in a school gym in Ukraine. And within minutes, a rocket attack came in and killed all of them, 42 people, because this young gentleman was posting hero pics and videos to his Facebook page. This is a war that has nothing to do with Canadians, British, or Americans. You're led to believe it is, but it has nothing to do with us. After watching the Ukrainian missile strike, the missile was called a 9M79, I think is the name, the classification of the missile. And it had a bomblet warhead, which is a cluster munition. And the fact they're firing this into a city center tells me that's a terror weapon. What do I know? Just a dude sitting here with a Trudeau flag behind me. What would I know? I'm just saying, when you look at the news, for example, when I look at the news, I'll go to 8 or 9 different news sites from around the world. France 24/7 English is actually really good. Al Jazeera, surprisingly, is really good. The Russian news, RT, it's more of a Russian slant, but you get a different perspective on things. There's a lot of different news agencies you can look at. I look at probably 10 or 12 a day from different parts of the world. They get different perspectives on things. Now that liveleak.com is taken down, that was a great place to look at videos that you could not find in Canada, the United States. The Moncton shooting, if you don't know what that was, it was this guy whose friend was beat to death by the Kodiak RCMP in Moncton, New Brunswick. His friend, after a year, who was a religious fellow, snapped and lost it and decided to hunt police. Well, people were posting videos from inside their homes of the police being riddled with gunfire. And those videos were on liveleak.com. Very disturbing. What most people don't know is the military is actually called in for that. I was part of the, what do they call it, immediate response unit engaged at the time. It was 4 ESR's turn. And we got a call to show up to work and bring your battle rattle. Something's going on. We're getting on the bus, getting ready to go to Moncton. And we were told, oh, no, stand down. The guy surrendered. And they wanted us basically make a large cordon around the area the guy was in. And we have these robots called Theodores that can be armed with shotguns. And they were going to send the Theodores in to get this guy. Bet you didn't know about that. Now you know about that. But there's lots of things that the media won't tell you about. And the media is not honest. Everyone has bias. Everyone has a bias. I don't like cottage cheese. I fucking hate it. And hate for me is a very strong word. The texture, the smell, the taste reminds me of baby vomit. And I don't even have kids. Terrible stuff. But it's a bias I have. And everyone has bias. And the media has bias. I watched a video a few days ago of was it Global News? One of the reporters was taunting protesters and saying some pretty messed up shit to people. He mentioned one of the lady's eyebrows, how she didn't have any. And she kind of drew them in. But she has something called alopecia? I think I pronounced that wrong. Anyway, where she has hair loss and stuff. But he was mocking her and just saying weird, fucked up shit to them. You know, a friend of mine who's a producer at CBC, she's leaving, or I think she already left, that company because the spin on the news that we're getting is pretty messed up. Do you know we're $9 trillion in debt? Do you know that? Here in Canada, $9 trillion. $9 trillion. It's nothing, right? Just $9 trillion. The government's borrowing $500 million a day. I just filled up my propane tank. I have a propane fireplace in my living room. And I just filled it up. And last year I was averaging for 2 fills. Each fill is about $320, $340. I just filled it up for $577. Yeah. I got some shekels. I can afford to pay my bills. But there's people out there on fixed incomes who can't. My spouse, she's on Facebook, and one of the neighbors just filled up their oil tank. And it doubled. The cost doubled since last year. And this person was asking, how can I find ways to slash my heating bills? I'm not on Facebook. I think Facebook is poison. Facebook is where the angry Karens and Kens, because there is a male version of a Karen. It's called a Ken. There is you don't see that on the media, do you? You don't see it on the news. You don't see that Joe Schmo down the road, his daughter just hung herself, because that's bad PR. The government wants you to think everything is fine. Right now, Bill S-223, how weird that is. Some military folks may get that. It's a guaranteed basic income for everyone. Everyone. Guaranteed. That sounds great, doesn't it? That's fucking utopia. Who's going to pay for that? The guy whose oil bill just doubled? Is he expecting a chilly winter next year? Because what's it going to be next year? Canada has the fourth largest oil reserves in the world. Fourth largest. We hardly tap into that because our current government, has made it uneconomical for businesses to pump it. Now, some of you may know about the Lac-Mégantic disaster, where a train carrying oil, lots of it, to a refinery derailed and blew up and just basically destroyed a town. But Quebec does not want pipelines. They have one going to Lévis, Quebec, but they want to build a much larger one. And Quebec vetoed it. Now, Quebec is the same province where the city of Montreal dumps 3 million liters of raw sewage into the St. Lawrence River every day. Sorry, that's daily. Let's not get this screwed up, shall we? 3 million liters. Not quite $9 trillion. But 3 million liters is it's a few liters. You know there's beluga whales in the St. Lawrence River? Feces slathered. Oh, you could just imagine. Everyone's like, what's those spotted beluga whales? Sir, that's feces. Sweet, sweet feces. But it's from Quebec. It must be good, right? Like the cheese curds and the women. You know, this for me is therapy. I got a brain injury, so some things for me are a little difficult. Emotions is one of them, and this seems to help bring it out. Emotionally, I'm dead on the inside. I really don't feel joy or anger or hate. I really don't feel that. I kind of feel nothing. So this for me, this what I'm doing now is kind of therapy. Now I do see a therapist, but basically ask me how my day is going, stuff like that. But let's not digress. That Patrick Lancaster, though, he is embedded with the Russian forces, which means he's going with the Russian forces, going forward with them. So he has perspective, a different perspective than some other news agencies have, where the Russians are the bad guys. Well, he's posting videos and he's talking to civilians in the areas that they're in. And the civilians are asking, like, why are the Ukrainians killing us? Why are they shooting at buildings and children? And now here's the thing you don't know. If a soldier is in a civilian building, that building is now becoming a legitimate military target. The media won't tell you that. They want you to be angry and upset that the Russians are shooting up these buildings. And yes, civilians are being killed. War is a terrible, nasty thing. No one wins in a war. I don't care what you've read, what you believe. Nobody wins. Everyone suffers. The big banks may win. That's a video for another time. So when you see videos of buildings shot to hell, ask yourself, what was in that building besides civilians? Was it artillery spotters? Did they have a radio relay station there? Ask yourself these questions. I am sure the Russians and Ukrainians aren't targeting civilians just for the sake of targeting civilians. I am sure the Ukrainians have a good reason to fire that missile. Tochuk? I think it's called Tochuk. Toutchk, maybe? Anyway, that missile. And they have two types of warheads. Well, three actually, but one's nuclear. Ukrainians don't have nukes. Cluster munition and unitary, which is a large explosive. Bomblet munitions, basically what happens over the target, the round will burst open and scatter submunitions, which are smaller explosives to scatter an area. Artillery uses it with like anti-tank mines or that's the best way to describe it. Bomblet munitions that penetrate the top of armored vehicles or just fragmentation to kill troops. Very effective, but unfortunately not very selective because they have basically a pattern they open up to. Basically, it looks like a fan or an oval. That's the business of war, I guess. But when you see a news story on the TV, the internet, your phone, wherever you get your information from, Google that story. But don't use Google. Use DuckDuckGo, Bing. There's a couple others. I noticed even DuckDuckGo now is censoring certain stories that you can't get anymore. I don't understand. I don't believe in censorship, first of all. I believe you should be able to say anything you want to anyone you want. Just don't make death threats or calls to violence towards people. But hey, Facebook said that's okay, right? Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, they said now it's okay to call death threats to Russians, Russian soldiers, Russian politicians. So that's okay now. So we can selectively hate. You ever see the movie 1984? You ever read the book? Where they have the 2 minutes of hate? Where they show the, I believe it was the other leader, and he'd spell it off, and people are shaking their fists and yelling at him. It's kind of what you're being fed now. You don't notice it. You really don't. Someone used the term mass hysteria, mass psychosis, mass something. All I'm asking people to do is open their eyes and look at different perspectives on things. Bear with me a second. Cranberry juice, good for its ails you. Anyway, that's all I'm asking. And if you do that, maybe look at this Patrick Lancaster's video. It's not for children. There's dead bodies in there. And he interviews civilians who were hit, wounded. War is brutal, and our world leaders are dragging us further and further into it. Joe Biden, old tapioca brain, has no idea where he is. Can't find Corn Pop anymore. Where the hell did Corn Pop go? Gets lost in the White House lawn. Justin Trudeau, He likes to wear different disguises. He's been everything from a pirate to a Sikh to a Muslim to a Jew. He likes to dress up a lot. What do they call it? Cultural appropriation? Is that what it was? Remember that a few years ago? There was a big thing, culture, stealing the culture. Justin Trudeau is kind of an expert in that. Boris Johnson. Rumor has it that he has a slight nose candy addiction. Slight nose candy addiction. Kind of like, remember old George Bush? White milk alcoholic, coke fiend. Remember that guy? Desert Storm? Remember him? Listen, I'm not here to cause alarm or upset people. That's not my goal in life. I'm actually a very nice, peaceful guy who basically doesn't want any conflict because I've seen so much of it in my life. But when you turn the TV on, don't second guess it. Just take it as one little slice of a large perspective. Think of a perspective as a pie. And that one news agency is taking a little slice of the pie. And that's just their slice. But the entire story is the pie. And you're only seeing one little section of it. That's the way I look at the news and the lies that the media like to put out there. The guy who made... Where are we at here? So screwed up. So the guy who made this flag as a meme, literally a meme, they tried to say that was some sort of white supremacist neo-Nazi flag. I described the meaning of the flag once before. I'm not going to do it on this video, but the news lies. They do. And there's a lot of things you don't see in the news. When's the last time you heard about the mass suicides going on here in Canada? You haven't. You absolutely haven't. I recently found out that a friend of mine, their child killed themselves. That's now 3 children I know of. 2 of them in my neighborhood. 1 from a workplace coworker. And I know 5 adults. You don't hear nothing about that on the news. And to me, that's the hardest thing. People are turning a blind eye to it. And we shouldn't. We're not about the crisis in Ukraine, but no one's talking about the crisis here in Canada. I'll leave it at that. You guys have a great day. Try not to worry a whole lot. And the fine words of Fucko the Clown, don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things. You have a great day.